Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. If you're hearing this webinar, I'm going to assume quite a number of things. First of all, you're talented, you are passionate, and you make great work. I mean, these are fair assumptions, seeing as you're in a webinar titled Talented But Broke. And it is my desire that by the end of this very short session, you would be equipped with some action steps that you can take immediately to make a change in how you're running your creative business, your creative venture, or your service providing self, because it might be just yourself and not a company that you are working with here. All right. And at any point in time, if anyone has any questions, please do not hesitate to type a question in the chat. Like I said, I wish I had like an entire hour, but I have something else scheduled. So it's my desire to try and wrap this up in under 30 minutes. And I'll, leave my email address, my LinkedIn and my Instagram. If you want my phone number, I could give it to you as well, but I don't think that would be necessary. But anyway, so we can continue talking offline since it's going to be shorter than we originally planned for. All right. So, like I said, if you're here, I'm going to assume a couple of things. You are probably very talented, as I'm sure many of you here are. You probably are very passionate as well about your work, and you're so passionate to the extent that you want to make a change. You're currently experiencing something, a gap perhaps in your talent or in your drive, in the goodness of your product, or the fact that it's so solution oriented or whatever have you, and the sales that you're getting out of it. So yeah, you're definitely passionate and you do great work, as do many creatives. You see, I was in this boat not too long ago where of course, I thought that I was, so great, and all I had to do was just be great by myself and keep improving on myself. And at some point, the work will come to me or people would recognize me. And don't get me wrong, to a degree, this was the case. I got a lot of referrals. There are people who knew that I did good work, and maybe they knew my parents or something, and so I would get referrals. But you cannot build an empire. You cannot make a sustainable business purely based on referrals in this way. You have to be busy about something very particular that a lot of creative people don't pay enough attention to. Probably because we're not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not the most fun thing to a primarily right brain person. In fact, you might even consider it to be deceptive or fake, but we'll get into that. All right. Like I said, please don't hesitate to post your questions in the chat. I will be reading them. All right. So, most creatives that I know who are incredibly talented or still in the business of honing their skills live in a wonderful land far, far away called the Lulu Island. The Lulu Island is an island that forces inhabitants to believe that being good is enough to keep the bills paid and is enough to keep the light running. The Lulu Land, forces inhabitants, or rather, the inhabitants of the Lulu Land believe that being good enough is good enough. This is absolutely incorrect. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The idea that opportunities will come to me if I just, like I said earlier, work on myself and, just honing my craft and maybe talk about my business here and there and just, show up my best self every day is a lie. It's a fallacy. And it's a constitution of the Lulu Island, which you need to evict yourself from immediately. This is something that I struggled with for a long time. The gap between where I wanted to be and where I needed to be, the gap of this gulf was one thing, one singular thing that if you will spend time on and invest in improving on, you will see such a drastic change. Can anyone guess what I'm about to say? What is this keyword? Let me pay attention to the chat on here. Does anyone know what this keyword is to take you from the Lulu Island? The key to your eviction? Yes! Ta-da! It's sales. You need to learn how to sell. Fascinatingly enough, as someone who had an undergrad in advertising and brand and entertainment, I have been helping people to get the word about their business out there. And for some reason, believing that people will magically come and find me. I didn't apply the same principles for such a long time that I would apply for a client on my own business as a service provider, as a creative. There are a lot of writers out there who are probably, face deep in some novel that they're writing, waiting for some angel to magically appear and put a scepter on their shoulder and say, you have been called. You're the chosen one. You're going to be the next New York best-selling author. It doesn't work that way. That's the Lulu Island. And we need to get off and never go back. So this is an preliminary introduction into sales. I'm going to be introducing some things to you that you may or may not have known already. But as a creative, as a service provider, the key to get you from being I'm trying not to use the word broke, but since we already called it, creative and broke, let's go ahead and say the key to taking you from brokenness to a higher influx of clients is sales. And there's different levels and different kinds of sales. Now, one thing I would like to say though is that I think I have like 5 points on here. Let me confirm. I have 4 points on here that I would advise anyone to actually do now, and also check their checklist on, because I'm making a lot of assumptions here. You cannot actually know. Now that I want to say it out loud, I beg to differ. If you are good at sales, you could probably sell a really bad product. It happens all the time. I'm pretty sure there's some of us here who have bought something that we really didn't need just because of the right amount of pressure, or just things coming together and aligning in such a way that it was like, whatever, I'll just get it. So sometimes it's possible to sell something, but as a creative and as somebody who I have the opportunity to, for this few minutes, to speak to, whatever the case may be, please actually be good. Work and invest on perfecting your craft. You don't want to be one of those people who makes a lot of noise, and then with the amount of noise you made, it's the same amount of damages that come back to you, because a lot of people have nothing good to say about you. There's way too many companies like that. There's way too many products like that made so much noise and then malfunction, and it just blew up in the person's face. You don't want to have so much quantity that your quality is lacking. So please invest in yourself. Actually be good. That's one of the preliminary things before we even start talking about sales here, right? And I already mentioned, evict yourself from the Lulu Land. Nobody's going to appear and magically, discover you. Maybe it happens 1 in a million times, but I'm pretty sure even those people set themselves up for such opportunities. So opportunities will come to me if I'm good enough. Let it wipe out of your mind. You have to put yourself out there. And that's how you receive outbounds, inbounds. That's how you receive, or rather gather a group of people who are interested in your work, and then you can start now, translating them to either people who become clients, or people who can refer you, or people who you just have in your network. Thirdly, learn the art and science of sales. I cannot cover everything here, but it is my hope and my desire that after leaving here, you actually go and start doing the real work, the hard work of learning sales. There's a lot of resources. I'm very happy to point you to startups, not startups in terms of companies, but starter guides. Even on YouTube, just Google how to, or sales or selling for a dummy, for example. You find so many things that can help you. All right. And finally, is if you have tried all and it's still not clicking, and you're like, this is like, scratching nails on a chalkboard, I'm not interested, just hire a salesperson as your partner, or hire a partner who is strong in sales so you can focus on the creative side of things. I always say, like, when you're about to go into a business with a co-founder, or hire someone, maybe it's your first hire, or partner up with someone and you want that relationship to be mutually beneficial, you have to ensure that they possess skills and talents that you don't have, or that you're not as strong in. Getting into business with someone who has the same amount of talents and gifts and skill sets that you have is a losing game. There's absolutely no need for there to be two of you. So if sales is something that you have to try, Let me emphasize that. You have to actually first try. So don't just be like, I can't do it. No, never mind. I'm just going to go find somebody. No, actually try, because you have to know the preliminary things, the preliminary basic and foundational keys and, points of sales. Because if you're broke, I'm using that word loosely here, if you don't have enough income, you probably don't have enough to hire somebody anyway. So you'd have to start off yourself. So please do try, get the foundational knowledge, the basic skills. And then, like I said, if you try everything and it's just not clicking, then you can hire a salesperson. All right. So here, this is my, I think my final slide, and then we can talk a little bit more about this. These are some of the fundamental, if you look to your left, some of the fundamental things that I think every creative business owner, or every creative person, period, actually, should be doing. First, you want to make sure you have niche and clarity. Like, people should not be confused on what service you're offering. They should not be confused on who you are or what you're doing. So if you can, specialize. If not, just make sure it's clear what services that you're offering or what problem your product solves. So niche and clarity, number one. You want to make sure you're in constant display and you're constantly educating people on, again, like I said, what you offer and why this is beneficial. Another thing is display client feedback as much as possible. People trust people that trust people. People trust people that people trust, is what I was trying to say. So if you have anecdotes, real life people who can do videos for you. Another thing that, I mean, you can see this prevalent a lot in influencer marketing, where someone is doing an unboxing and you can see a product like unveiled live and direct, and you're getting like feedback with that. That costs a lot of money, right? But if you've already had clients in the past who had a good experience with you, amplify those stories so that people know that you're legit. And finally, offer value. These are the fundamental parts of sales that I want you to know that are very fundamental, right? To putting yourself out there. This is the first step in. Offering value means that you might not be getting paid for it, but because you're putting yourself at the forefront of solving problems that, your potential clients have, you become someone that could be trusted. And then under cold outreach, again, this list is not exhaustive, so there's still, do your research. Like I said, go in and start learning the art of sales. As a creative person, you need to recognize that you are also a salesperson, even though that idea might not be the most fun thing to think about because of how traditionally we've thought about sales. It seems like a boring job that unskilled people do. That couldn't be farther from the truth than anything in this world. Like, that is not true at all. Everyone who wants to make money needs to learn how to sell. Okay. So under cold, we have emails. These are called cold emails. So having a list of potential clients. Of course, when you've had your niche and the clarity of what it is that you're offering and who it is that you're trying to reach, you would know the kind of people that you sell to. They should be under your target persona. If you don't know what that is, you can just Google it. Your target market and your target persona are very important for you to know and understand your markets. Yeah. So sending out cold emails, just run it through ChatGPT. Make sure that it's not corny or beggarly. You want to be direct, you want to be respectful and brief, actually. Social media ads. Paying and boosting ads is a very sure way to, cold reach people in the sales funnel. It's like the top level of the funnel. By the time you promote and you choose the great or right or best parameters for the ads that you're sending, somebody could see that, oh, this person does this, oh, I might need this, and then could potentially reach out. Or maybe they just interact with your post because they're not in a position where they are ready to convert. But when you take that into the next stage, then it becomes lukewarm. But we aren't there yet. And like I was mentioning earlier, influencer marketing. Of course, this can be good or bad because, again, if your product is not good, if your services are not elite, the exposure could do more harm than good, which is why, again, I said earlier, even though it's not necessarily a break-all situation, please invest in actually being good before you start blowing and tooting your horn about the services or yourself. All right, so lukewarm, at this stage, there's some form of information that the people have of you. In cold, they might have never heard of you before. They have no idea, no inclination. So it's like the first impact, the first introduction to you, categorized under cold. Then in lukewarm sales outreaches, then now you're following up. So you sent an email before, you've done some mild education on who you are, what you offer, what your product is. Now, when you follow up, this is not the first time they're hearing of you. They probably are educated to some degree, assuming that they read your email. Even social media, like I mentioned, when you pay for ads and maybe somebody liked your post or they commented, they might not have indicated that they need your services. But when you follow up on that, saying, hey, I see that you liked this video. Can I pick your mind on what about it was interesting to you? Or I see you commented, like, tell me more about you, like, establishing a connection. Now you're in lukewarm premises. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, which is also under fundamental value-driven content, especially because that kind of content when not promoted, most oftentimes is reaching out to your followers who might already have an idea of you. For the fact that somebody took their time out to follow in the age of social media where really people aren't following, like I don't think I follow any celebrity because I can just type their name and go and catch up on all the shows or the videos or the content that I've missed, right? So if somebody's gonna take out their time to follow you, that's a medium level commitment, especially if they are under the umbrella of your potential clients. So producing value driven content for these kinds of people who have already made some form of commitment is under lukewarm. And finally, warm. Now you are in front of these people, they've indicated interest, they know of you, there's some level of trust as well. Now you want to do personalized pitches and offer solutions to the problems that you have educated yourselves on. Now see how everything is active, you're doing something. The most successful people spend so much money on sales, be it the boring version where someone's just calling, hey, can I sell you insurance, or the other kind where you're seeing influencers and you're seeing ads and seeing billboards everywhere selling. You need to be selling. People need to know about you to be able to determine if they want to hire you or use your product or your service. If they do not know that you exist, I'm so sorry. But yeah. Does anyone have any questions for me? That's really it. Like I mentioned earlier, here's my details. If you have further questions, that's my Instagram, my LinkedIn, and my email address. Shoot me a message, shoot me an email. I'd love to book an appointment with you. I have my Calendly, which is not on here, but send me an email. I'll send you my Calendly so we can align on our schedules. Okay, so what I was saying about like educating yourself, I have a question here that says there's so many resources, where can I start? I think, going back to what I mentioned earlier, if you just went to YouTube, let's say, and you typed in learning sales for a beginner or sales for a dummy or whatever the case may be, or beginner level sales, you will find so many helpful resources and so much helpful information. So at this level, with the onset of the internet and the availability of information, you don't know because you're not ready to know. That's just it. So once you are ready and you put in the work, you will discover a whole new world where you're in charge. And things are you're not just waiting for things to happen to you in the Lulu Land, but you're going out and you're getting things. Hopefully that helps. Did that help? Awesome. All right. All right. That's it, guys. I will look towards setting another webinar, at least 2 for next month, to make up for the short time that I had today. But thank you all so much for attending. Thank you for interacting in the comments. I see you. And have a lovely day. All right.